didn't do anything, said Stanley. Will shook his head. Nothing, said Davina. Nothing at all. Will shook his head again. I pretended to be asleep. Stanley and Davina glanced at each other and nodded. Clever, said Stanley. Smart, said Davina. And you really think that fooled her? Said Bennett. Will looked at the shoe drawer for a moment. Bennett nodded his head as if to say, Yeah, I know. I'm just a dog, aren't I? Will ignored him. She was moving from chair to chair, Will continued. I could sense her coming closer. What was she doing? Asked Davina. She was checking everyone and shining a light into everyone's eyes. Stanley and Davina glanced at each other again. Anyway, she came closer, so I closed my eyes like everyone else. And then I heard her say, Oh, the cable's come out. Accidents happen. So she thought it had fallen out, said Stanley. Of course, said Davina. Hello, said Bennett. This is the same cable she had connected herself, the one she herself had connected 5 minutes before. I just want to check. Will glanced at Stanley. Stanley, he said. Bennett, I'll shut the drawer, you know I will. But master, not even a dog could believe she'd think it had just fallen. Bennett! But Bennett! Right, muttered the dog, and he glared at Will. What did she do then, Will? Asked Davina. Well, she said the cable must have fallen out because I was obviously still asleep, so she reconnected it. I still had my eyes closed, but I could hear her connecting the cable, and I could smell her. You know, she wears that perfume. Stanley grimaced. And then? Asked Davina. And then, well, the helmet worked, I suppose. That's all I remember. The three children were silent. Bennett watched them, rolling his eyes or wagging his tail for a few seconds when he thought he could get someone's attention. Tell us what you saw again, said Davina. You mean when the helmet started working? Davina nodded. Well, I told you, Davina. Everyone shook. Show us. Will shook himself all over. No, said Davina. Not me. I didn't do that. You did. What about me? Asked Stanley. You too. Everybody did. Bennett laughed hoarsely. The three children stared sharply at him. Sorry, said the dog. It's just, rough. Stanley, shut the drawer, said Davina. I will, Bennett, said Stanley. I will. Bennett tilted his head and gazed at Stanley pitifully and blinked a couple of times. Will you be quiet now? The dog nodded quickly. Davina rolled her eyes. What happened then? She said to Will. Well, it went on for about a minute, and after that everyone was still, except sometimes people twitched a bit, or just jerked or whatever. Like when you're dreaming, said Davina. I saw my little brother asleep in our hoverpod once, and suddenly he kind of jumped and twitched, and my mother said he was dreaming. Maybe, said Will. Who was dreaming? Asked Bartholomew Jenkins, suddenly opening the door. Will slammed the shoe drawer shut with his foot. Why do you do that every time I come in? Demanded Bartholomew. What have you got in there anyway? Why don't you ever knock, Bart Simpson? Retorted Davina. Like it's your room, said Bartholomew. Like it matters, said Davina. Bartholomew sat down. Take a seat, Bart, said Davina. Don't be shy. Who was dreaming? Demanded Bartholomew. Well, who? No one was dreaming, replied Will. Someone was. I heard you say it. You must have been dreaming, said Davina, and she laughed. You shouldn't be so nasty to me, Davina McCready, said Bartholomew. Why not, Bart Simpson? Because, Bartholomew narrowed his eyes, because you'll regret it. Oh, I am quaking. I'm quaking in my boots. And I'm not even wearing any. Bartholomew, asked Will wearily, what do you want? Pointy wibblers, Will. Are you coming? Soon. Good. I want to mash you up again, said Bartholomew with relish. I want to lure your green wibblers out onto the rocks and smash their heads in again, just like I did last week. That sounds pleasant, observed Davina. You were just lucky, said Will. You'll never do it again. You know it yourself. Everything was going your way. Morag was attacking me in a wibbler rush, and Benedict was raiding me from above. Ermengild was... And I just picked off your little green wibblers, taunted Bartholomew. Your poor little green wibblers. All 5 of them. You forgot about them, didn't you, Will? So I just picked them off and smashed their heads one by one. Bartholomew, you captured them on the rocks, all right? You didn't smash their heads in. There's no such thing as smashing a wibbler's head in. It doesn't even have a head. Oh, yes, it does, Will. Yours do. Or did before I smashed them in. One after the other. All 5 of them. On the rocks. Smash! Smash! He said slowly, as if savouring the sound of the word. He glanced at Davina. Smash! 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 You're sick, Bart Simpson, said Davina. Just like I'll smash anyone who gets in my way. No one will beat me. Never. Just try it and... Carlson! Shouted Bartholomew. Carlson, stop! Carlson Marks, who had been passing by in the corridor outside, came back. He stood in the doorway. I want to have a word with you, Carlson, said Bartholomew. Do you? Carlson smiled. Really? With me? Bartholomew got out of his chair. Come to the Wibbler Dome, Will. See you there in half an hour, he said. And then he went out. Hey, Bart Simpson, shouted Davina. Can't you close a door when you leave a room? She got up and went to the door. Bartholomew was walking away with Carlson, his arm around the smaller boy's shoulder, whispering in his ear. Davina stepped back and the door slid shut behind her. Bart Simpson, she said with disgust. Why are you going to play pointy wibblers with him, Will? He's horrible. Oh, we do have good games. He's mad. He does seem a bit unbalanced, observed Stanley. Nah, he's just a big talker, that's all. Stanley raised an eyebrow sceptically. His remarks about your green wibblers were a bit disturbing, don't you think? Will grinned. He opened the shoe drawer. Bennett jumped out and started licking his face. Bennett, said Stanley, stop, or you'll have to get straight back in the drawer. Bennett stopped. Then he gave Will another quick lick. Bennett! The dog jumped onto Stanley's bed. He lay there sulkily. I hate being in that drawer, he growled. I hate being in this room. You promised you'd take me out. It's for your own safety, said Stanley. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I'm sure Bart Simpson knows you've got something in the drawer, Stanley, said Davina. I'm sure he's just waiting for a chance to see what it is. Stanley looked at her anxiously. So did Bennett. Can you imagine what he'd do if he walked in now and saw Bennett sitting there like that? Bennett looked up at Stanley in alarm. What, master? What would he do if he came in and saw me sitting here like that? If I were you, said Davina, I'd make sure the door of this room is locked all the time, even when you're inside. And I'd keep the drawer locked as well. No! Yelped Bennett. Would you prefer it if Bart Simpson smashed your head in? Demanded Davina. Bennett looked at her in dismay. Would he do that? He whispered. Well, he did it to Will's green wibblers, and if he'd do it to a green wibbler, he wouldn't think twice about doing it to a dog. But I'm not a real dog, cried Bennett. I'm a road dog. Someone should tell him. And he leapt off Stanley's bed and into the shoe drawer and buried himself under the green towel that Stanley had given him to use as a blanket. After a moment, his nose poked out. Davina looked at Stanley and Will. What do you think Bart Simpson wanted with Carlson? He never talks to him. Will shrugged. He had no idea. I'm telling you guys, watch out, said Davina. That boy gets more evil every time I see him. Thanks for joining us. Tune in tomorrow for another chapter of Will Buster and the Gelmet Helmet.